And I call the honourable member for Fairfax.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. The Senate election in Western Australia is of prime importance, not just to the nation but Western Australia. Successive Australian governments have over the years relied on the wealth generation capacity of Western Australia to carry the nation on its back. There's always been the assumption that Western Australia can manage, that they'll be right. But things in Western Australia are not right. The mining tax has destroyed the investment and prosperity of Western Australia once enjoyed, and the carbon tax has pushed the cost of electricity up to the stage where the average family in Perth just can't manage their household budget. Yet despite all that, Western Australia still does not receive the GST receipts that it should be entitled to. How long will it be till Western Australians get a fair share? How long will it be till the state government and the Australian government correct the injustice and allow Western Australians to receive their fair share of GST? Unemployment is increasing, living standards are declining and people's lives are getting worse, not better. It's now been 6 months since the government has been sworn in and has still not been able to get the mining tax and the carbon tax repealed in the Senate. These taxes should have been repealed from the day the government was elected, from the day the Australian people voted overwhelmingly for them to be abolished. Labor and the Greens have blocked the repeal in the Senate, and the government remains impotent to do anything about it. The government can't do it. They can't remove the carbon and mining taxes. The Greens and Labor won't allow them to do it. They're the naysayers that gave us the mining tax and the carbon tax, brought to Australia a government that wreaked havoc on our economy. The fact of the matter is that only the senators which control the balance of power in the Senate after the next Senate election and their alliance can remove the mining and carbon taxes and set Australia on the right path. The Senate election won't change anything in Western Australia. We know who the Prime Minister is. We know who is the Leader of the Opposition. But the Western Australian election is an opportunity for Western Australians to join the balance of power in the Senate. And if Senate candidates elected at that election are elected in Western Australia, they will be able to join the balance of power in the Senate and make sure the mining tax and the carbon tax are repealed. The Western Australian economy needs more jobs and investment. Now is not the time for the government not to follow through on its commitment to Western Australia. All Australians, wherever they live, owe a debt of gratitude to the people of Western Australia for all they have done for this country. I have a strong personal commitment to Western Australia, having worked and lived in the Pilbara for many years. I was successful in capturing billions of dollars that have now been invested in Western Australia, creating many thousands of jobs in the state, investment which created a new port at Cape Preston and one of Australia's largest industrial enterprises. Western Australians are not afraid of hard work or a challenge, but they cannot accept if the government fails to act. They cannot accept that they should be forever sentenced to a lesser role because their politicians don't live in Sydney or Melbourne. What about them? It's just not fair that Western Australia is not treated fairly, that it's burdened with the carbon and mining taxes, that the Western Australian is taken for granted in the good times and forgotten when the times get tough. Western Australia deserves to be in the balance of power in the Senate. Only then can Western Australia make the politicians who rule this country from Sydney and Melbourne take notice of their fair demands. Thank you, Madam Speaker.